Oh, hello YouTube. I'm Dapie45 and welcome to my channel. So, we are in the midst of Shark Week right now. And for those of you who don't know, Shark Week is when all the sharks in the waters become more active and thus more deadly. So I've taken it upon myself to be the lifeguard of this here pool, so hopefully no shark attacks can happen. Now, I may not have the proper training to be a lifeguard, however, I must do what's right. So please excuse me while I keep an eye out for these sharks. Okay, this is boring. But now that I think about it, if a shark were to actually attack, I don't know what I would do. Hey, what's that? Jaws. This is perfect. Since I don't know how to defend from shark attacks, after I watch this movie, I'll be able to learn the intricacies of a shark and know what to do if it were to ever attack. But of course, I can't leave these pools unattended, so that's why I have enlisted the help from my good friend Rocky. So he'll stay here and watch the pool as I'm gone and watching the movie, and hopefully I'll be able to fight off these sharks whenever they do attack. Alright Rocky, keep these pools safe. You don't know what's out there. After watching that movie, I found out that sharks are very dangerous and should not be messed with. But I do have some time before I have to take over for Rocky. So I'm just going to do a quick review of this movie and then go back to the pool and check on Rocky and see how he's doing. Now, quick PSA before I start this review. The shark that is depicted in this movie is not as dangerous as a normal shark. Because for the most part, a shark, the worst that they will do is take a bite out of you, and then they'll leave. But of course, that can be deadly within itself. So it is best to be safe when in the ocean and try to stay away from the sharks. Because most of the time they're looking for seals or other fish, so if they see you moving and you resemble an animal that it might want to eat, then it might take a bite out of you, but once it tastes you, it doesn't like the taste of human, so then it will go away. But of course, it's not gonna follow you and try to kill you no matter what, like the shark in this movie does. So just wanted to let you guys know. So sharks aren't to be that feared of, but of course they are to be to an extent, since they sometimes can't tell the difference between a human and its normal food. All that to say, just be careful when you go into the ocean. If you see a shark, be careful and try to get away from it as fast as you can. If you're close by to a boat, try to get into that boat and then you should be fine. Because of course a shark can take one bite out of you and they'll stop, but of course that bite can be very deadly, so just be safe and watch out for sharks. And I am a lover of animals, which doesn't include sharks, and I do want them to be safe as well as humans, so try not to harm these sharks or try not to be in harm's way from these sharks too. So just be careful in the ocean and try to be safe around the sharks and try not to hurt any sea life or any animal at that. So now that I got all that out of the way, it's time to get into this review. Jaws follows this chief of police named Martin Brody, who is new to this island town called Amity, where there's this one shark that's been killing a lot of people who enter the waters. So it's basically him trying to put an end to this shark that has been killing these people to hopefully make the beaches safe. Now I know that was a pretty short recap of the movie. However, I didn't want to give too much away just in case there's someone who hasn't seen it that's watching this video. So if you haven't seen it, I do suggest that you really watch it because it is a good watch. In my opinion, this is an amazing movie. It's a classic movie done by director Steven Spielberg, and it has such great effects, and I just love it so much I could rewatch it over and over again. The character interactions in this movie is really great because of course it doesn't make sense how a lot of people would react, like how the mayor doesn't want to close down the beaches because that would be bad for the business of the town, but of course the chief of police wanting the best for the people, so he wants to close down the beaches. So it's very interesting seeing those type of character interactions and seeing how other characters interact with each other, and it's just all really great. And the tone and setting of this movie is really great too, because of course when you go to the land and on the beaches, it's pretty full of life and color, but when you go towards the water where the shark is, it gets a little darker and more grim. And the amount that they use the shark in this movie is really great, because of course in this movie you don't really see the shark too much in the very first part of it, and then later on the second half of the movie you do see it more often. You don't see it until halfway into the movie pretty much, because for those of you who don't know, during the filming of this movie, the mechanical shark that they used for this movie was not working properly, so it would always break down and they had to use it sparingly. So that means it wouldn't be used as much in the movie, but of course that does work in this movie because it adds more mystery to the shark and more tension as to what could this beast look like. And then when you finally see it, you can see, oh my goodness, it's a really big shark and it's very dangerous. This movie is considered a horror slash thriller movie, and it does make sense since it is about a deadly shark killing these people at the beach. But of course, compared to some other movies, it can be considered tame because you don't fully see people dying. You kind of do, of course, when they're in the water, you'll just see red coming up as if they're bleeding, and you'll see some body parts, and then sometimes you'll see there's one part where you do see a dead face, but other than that, there's not a whole lot as there are compared to recent films where you see gore everywhere and just a bunch of dead bodies flying everywhere. In this one, it is a little condensed to the amount they show when compared to more current films. And of course, I'm not really much of a fan of horror movies. However, this is one of the movies I do really like, and it is very well made. Another thing I love about this movie is the music used in it, because the music that's in this movie is conducted by John Williams, who made such amazing music for movies like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, and E.T., among many other famous movies. And of course, the effects in this movie are pretty great. The only effects that really show are when they use the shark, mechanical shark, and then when anyone dies. Because of course, when someone dies, they show the red in the water to show that they're bleeding from the dismembered body part, or whether it's just their whole person getting eaten and it's just all red. That's pretty much the only time they'll use that effect, and then the other effect would be with the shark. Since those are the only two effects, they are still done pretty well. Because the shark, at first I thought it was a little stiff and not as realistic, but once I thought about it, it does move like a shark because the shark isn't as mobile as a person. The only difference is that the shark in this movie just doesn't like turn as much as a normal shark would, but other than that, it is still pretty realistic. So in my opinion, I give this movie my final rating of a 10 out of 10. It is a really great movie. I love watching it. I could watch it over and over again. However, if you're not that much into horror films, you might not like it. Of course, this is more of a surprising pick for me as a 10 out of 10 because I don't really like horror films. But this is just a classic, and I've seen it. I watched it when I was really young, and of course I've watched it since multiple times. So I do really like this movie, and if you guys haven't seen it and are interested, and also I do like horror films, I do suggest you watch it. But of course, if you don't like horror films, you may not like it. But if you are interested, then you can still watch it. But it's just up to you. So now that I finished reviewing the movie Jaws, I gotta go back to the pool and check on Rocky and see how he's doing with Shark Patrol. Great job, Rocky. You kept these pools safe while I was gone. But now that I know how to defeat sharks, I could take over for you. And I'll fight off any shark that comes up and... Wait, there's something in the water. It looks like there's a shark in the water, and I'm gonna have to defeat it before anyone gets hurt. Good thing is, Rocky has a boat, and he said that both him and I could go inside it and defeat the shark once and for all. We're gonna need a bigger boat. We don't have enough time to wait for another boat. Someone could get hurt. I'm gonna have to do this myself. Wait a minute. Wait, it's not a shark. That's my other flip-flop. Well, looks like it was a false alarm. There was no shark in the water. It was just my flip-flop. But hey, it's better to be safe than sorry. And looks like Rocky's having a good time. Well, it turns out that Shark Week isn't when sharks infest all of our local pools, but instead it's a week-long program that occurs on the Discovery Channel every year. That would make a lot more sense.